The steward's hand clamped on his wrist. "Sir, I need you to move to the back." The cabin air, thick with the scent of stale coffee, crackled with judgment. He met the steward's gaze, a flicker of something dangerous in his own. "They have no idea who I am." He grabbed my wrist like I didn't belong there. I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I just pulled out my phone, tapped once, and said 2 words: grounded. It started like any normal business trip. Early morning flight, quiet terminal hot. Coffee, leather shoes clicking down the jet bridge. I stepped on that plane, dressed sharp navy polo, tucked into gray slacks, briefcase, in hand seat 2D on my ticket. I sat down calm, no need to flex who I was, but apparently being calm, black, and in first class is all it takes to make some folks twitch. The man across the aisle, Walter, older white guy, sharp suit, sharper attitude, glared at me like I'd wandered into his living room. Said something slick about how they don't give upgrades for loyalty points anymore, like I didn't pay full fare. I gave him a look, the kind that says, "Don't try me," but I let it slide until the attendant, Derek, walked up. He smiled at Walter first, offered him bourbon like they were old pals, then turned to me and boom, stone face, "Sir, can I see your boarding pass again?" Not a request, more like a challenge. I handed it over without saying a word. He barely glanced at it, frowned, and asked if I was sure I was on the right flight. That one stung. You know that feeling like someone's already decided you're out of place and just fishing for a reason to prove it. Still, I kept my cool. I said, "Yes, I'm sure." He walked away, but I could feel the weight in the air. The quiet kind of tension that builds when you know you're being watched, but no one's saying anything. A few minutes later, Derek came back, crouched beside me like I was a kid causing trouble. Said there was a discrepancy with my ticket, asked me to step to the back until they sorted it out. When I looked him dead in the eye and said no, he blinked. "Excuse me, I'm not moving." I told him, "I paid for this seat. You've got a problem. Fix it from the terminal." By then, the folks around us were starting to shift in their seats. Some pretended not to listen. Others pulled out their phones. Walter leaned over again and said, "No need to make this uncomfortable for everyone." And just like that, Derek reached down and yanked me out of the seat, physically pulled me up like I didn't matter. Then Walter handed him a $100 bill and said, "Thanks for keeping the cabin clean. I've had a lot of moments in my life, but that one cracked something open." So I did what they never expected. I pulled out my phone, tapped one command and said it, "Grounded." And that was all it took. A red light blinked by the cabin door. A soft chime went off. Boarding stopped. Gate agents froze. The whole system shifted quietly, efficiently, like a machine changing course mid-flight. Derek stood there confused. Walter smirked. But I just sat down, calm, steady, adjusted my sleeve like nothing happened, because I wasn't just some guy with a phone. I was Nicholas Carter, CEO of Verity Link, federal compliance contractor with full infrastructure override clearance. Turns out, when you've helped design the very systems that protect public travel, you don't need to shout. You don't need to argue. You just act. Within an hour, SkyConnect had grounded all outbound flights. Videos hit the internet. Me being pulled from my seat, Walter smirking, Derek sweating. Then came the press conference. I stepped up, looked into the cameras and said I didn't raise my voice. I didn't demand compensation. I said one word, ground. And that word was enough. I told them I wasn't here to punish. I came to measure, and what I found was a structure so hollow it mistook arrogance for protocol. And yeah, I told them the truth. As of that morning, my company had acquired controlling compliance rights in SkyConnect. Not by accident, by design. We weren't shutting them down. We were rebuilding them from the inside out. And still, I never raised my voice. The backlash came quick. Congressional hearings, op-eds, anonymous leaks, trying to smear me, said I had too much power, said I was dangerous. You know what's dangerous? Letting someone get dragged out of a seat they paid for just because they don't look the part. That's dangerous. That's what's been normal for far too long. But here's the twist they didn't see coming. I didn't want fame. I wanted precedent. We launched audit protocols in airports across the country. Started redesigning boarding lane signage accessibility systems. Not for clout, for dignity. for people who've been stepped over and told to be quiet for generations. And you know what the wildest part is? I didn't say a damn word for most of it. I let the system speak. I let the silence carry weight. So now I'll ask you, have you ever been in a seat they said you didn't belong in? Ever been told to move to wait to prove yourself one more time? And if so, what did you do? Drop it in the comments. I want to know because maybe, just maybe, the next seat they try to take won't be yours, but it might be mine again. And this time you'll know exactly what to